Madison, the Bank of New Zealand has reported its annual profit, and people do love to see how much the banks are making, so drum roll please.
They made $1 billion buckaroos, the Bank of New Zealand, so they made a net profit after tax of ever so slightly above $1 billion. It was at 1.02 billion New Zealand dollars. That is down $7 million or 0.7% from their last year's net profit. And they did have a number of one-off items which resulted in that drop. Most significantly, one was a drop in the value of its software, although that was offset by a gain on its sale of their 25% stake in the payments company Paymark. And they also did have a bit of a gain from an insurance settlement as well over some earthquake damage to their premises in Wellington. The Bank of New Zealand says that without those one-offs, their net profit would have actually increased by $23 million. Now, looking at their other financials here, their revenue, which is the money that they make off their customers, that was up 7% to a whopping $2.5 billion. Now, that's because its loan book, its amount of lending, rose nearly 6%. And they also, interestingly, increased their mortgages to specifically first home buyers by about a quarter in the year, and they also lent more to businesses as well. Now, their deposits, which is the amount of savings that its customers have with the Bank of New Zealand, those also rose more than 7%, but their margins there were squeezed, and that's because of the low interest rate environment that we're seeing at the moment. They're obviously earning less of those deposits in their bank. Interestingly, though, they also did increase their provisions for bad debts, what they call officially their credit impairment charge. That rose by 39%, and that's because of the downturn that we're seeing in the dairy sector, so some concerns about some farm and agricultural lending there. Now, obviously, even though it's called the Bank of New Zealand, it's actually Australian owned. It's owned by NAB, which is the National Australia Bank. Now, they reported their group profit today too. They've had a pretty tough year following the Royal Commission of Inquiry into banking in Australia. They reported a 13.6% drop in their net profit after tax to 4.8 billion Australian dollars. Still not pretty bad figures there, although that did include a hit of compensation costs to the tune of 1.1 million Australian dollars to refund some customers that they ripped off.
Interesting. Okay, so Xero, this is the business accounting company, isn't it?
That's the one.
It's reported its half-year result today. How's it going?
This one actually deserves a bit of a drum roll too.
Really?
They reported their first net profit. So this was just their half-year result. It was a net profit of $1.4 million for the 6-month ended September. Now, that ends Xero's history of continuous bottom-line losses up until now, and it compares to its last year half-year loss of $28.6 million. So quite the reversal in its finances here. Now, when it comes to these sorts of tech startups, they typically spend all of their money that they earn and reinvest it back into the business, hoping that it will one day pay off and they'll grow and actually break even. And it also means that Xero is officially cash flow positive now. That means that they have more money coming in than going out of their business. Now, you would expect the champagne to have been popping at the Xero headquarters in Parnell in Auckland and also in Wellington today, but the company actually isn't making too much of a song and a dance about their first maiden net profit. They're actually more excited about their revenue growing at a rate of 32% and also hitting 2 million subscribers for the first time ever.
Okay, so what else happened on the markets today? Anything interesting?
Yeah, the NZX Top 50 index closed up 1/3% tonight. So that's a rise of 36 points to close at 10,795. The New Zealand dollar, that's buying at 63.5 US cents, 92.4 to the Australian and 49.4 British pence.
Thanks, Madison. Madison Reedy with our business news.